I am here with my 2016 Golf R. This was my lease car. I've got a new one on the way, and I sold this one, and the new owner is taking delivery tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and give it one final quick wash, clay bar, and ceramic top coat treatment. Get it ready to turn over to the new owner all nice and clean while the weather is so fantastic. So anytime I'm trying to get paint cleaned up before a clay bar, it's a good idea to use like a wax stripper to getting the old wax off, help get contaminant off, things like that that are, light tar. Hot water works good for that. You can use a actual dishwashing liquid. That's a common stripper. Every company that makes detailing products also certainly makes wax removers, but for what I'm doing, what I found works great, and I'm fortunate here, is in my house I've actually got hot and cold water for my car wash hose. So I just crank this up to high, and I'm gonna fill my wash bucket with hot water. I'm gonna wash it with hot water, and that'll help get the paint nice and prepped, so I can get a good coat applied directly to the paint. Okay, so the car is thoroughly soaped up. It's cool enough outside that today I was able to wash the whole car, and I'm just going to rinse it off at one shot. Depending on the temperature and wind, it's a good idea to do it section at a time so the car doesn't dry up on you at all. It's starting to dry up on me a little bit right here just as I'm grabbing the camera. The wind is kind of blowing toward the east, and I've got a couple more cars here in the driveway, so I'm actually washing toward the east, so the wind is working for me, and it also helps me keep from getting car wash soap and stuff on the other car, which I'm not going to wash today. So I'm going to use that, start to the bottom, rinse it all off, and move over to the driver's side and then rinse that off. All right, so I've got my washing done, and I did have a grit guard in my bucket, just in case you're wondering. What a grit guard does is the dirt and stuff will go out of the wash mitt and get safely below the water, so you're not picking it back up every time you pick up your mitt. This is a Chemical Guys one. It's pretty cool, but the finger holes are absolutely tiny, 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 and it is impossible to grip. I'm gonna end up putting a zip tie on that to fish it out or blow the holes out a little bit bigger. Now that I've done with my wash mitt, it's always a good idea to rinse it out and get all the extra dirt and stuff out of the mitt. And I'm actually going to give this a lot more thorough of a rinse than what I'm going to sit here and film for 5 minutes rinsing it out. But I'm going to give this thing a good rinse, wring it out, and hang it out. If when you're washing your car, if this thing hits the ground, you need to be extremely diligent of getting whatever you just picked up off your driveway off the mitt so you don't scratch the hell out of your paint. If I drop a mitt, I grab a different one and just deal with the drop the mitt later as far as cleaning out, and then I always hang these out to air dry. Now what I want to show you next is a tip I picked up over the years. Is I am going to clay bar the car, and what clay barring does is it's going to remove stuff that's really stuck to the paint that the wash mitt's not going to get, contaminants, fallout, things like that, that makes the paint surface unsmooth. And I've got a little piece of clay bar here, and what the clay bar companies, or the detailing companies I should say, want you to do is they want you to buy a bottle of quick detailer. But if you read what the instructions of the clay bar is, it's really all about just using a lubricant. Well, guess what, folks? Car wash soap makes a fantastic lubricant. So I am actually going to reuse my car wash soap as my clay bar. So my panels are already kind of drying up a little bit here thanks to that wind that's blowing through. Make sure my hands are getting clean. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water to this panel. And I'm just going to start with my clay bar. And I've got my clay bar already soaking in the water. And like I said, I was using warm water. So this has also kind of helped to soften the clay bar up and make it malleable. I've got that in my hand, and this piece is ready to go. And I'm just going to quickly just go across the entire surface of every panel on the car, keeping them lubricated as I'm going, and also checking my clay bar, especially if I feel my finger or the palm of my hand pick anything up. I'm gonna take the clay bar at that point and switch it around a little bit, kind of change the piece that I'm working with, and in a second this will go nice and flat in my hand. And I'm losing my lubrication here, so I'm gonna come back over my wash bucket, get a little bit more. Never working with a dry surface here. I'm always lubricated, nice and slick. The surface is nice and slick. I'm not gonna grab anything and cause it to put any sort of light scratching in the car. When I get done, I'm just gonna rinse this off. And depending on how warm it is outside right now, it's absolutely not warm at all. It's probably 40 degrees in my driveway right now. I may have to use a lot more lubricant, a lot more water. But this paint is, I wish you could touch it. It is baby smooth, baby bottom smooth right now. And I'm going to go across the entire car just like this. And I'm gonna rinse this off as I go. Even gonna hit my headlights. Grab anything I feel on there. Water is freezing cold at this point. This is gosh, I should go grab a temperature gauge. It says probably 38 degrees. Does not feel good on my hand. I'm definitely going to pull the car into the garage to do my ceramic coat so I get good adhesion of the product. You know, with any kind of detailing product, you always want to try and operate at least 50 degrees, kind of top out 75, 80 degrees, and avoid direct sunlight, of course. And the reason for avoiding the direct sunlight is your product's going to dry really fast in direct sunlight, and it can make it really difficult to get off and make the job way harder than it needs to be. As you can see, I don't have any direct sunlight that I'm in, which is great, but you know, mid-January, it's also really cold. You can hear those wind chimes. That wind is dropping the temperature about another 10 degrees. And so, if my hand's moving fast in that video, it might look like I don't have anything in my hand. I do. I actually got a piece of clay bar, and it's treating me really good. I keep this paint pretty clean, so I'm not picking up any large contaminants. We've also thus far had a really minor winter, and they haven't needed to put any gravel or de-icing agents on the road. So my fallout on my paint and contaminants is pretty minimal, but I do want the surface to be just super smooth, so I get that good ceramic coating application. Down here on the fenders behind the wheel, this is where I get a lot of, this is where you'll pick up the most of your contaminants, because this is throwing up the tar and stuff from the road. And I can see one little spot there. Rub on that a little bit. Not try and focus on it too much. Yeah, and it's in there pretty good. That might actually even be a micro rock chip with a little bit of rust coming through it. I get this really good. Just like washing the car, it is important. I am going to primarily work my way down. The top of the car is going to be cleaner than the bottom of the car by nature. I want to get the most that I can out of my clay. So working from the top to the bottom, if I start at the bottom, I get some big dirt piece in my clay, I'm just going to toss that and have to move on to another piece. So working my way down will help me avoid that and optimize my product. Another thing about getting down and dirty with a car like this and getting real personal is you'll figure out what your new imperfections are. Like I see I got a new little tiny little nick in the bumper there, just a rock chip. Don't mind discovering those. What I do mind discovering is door dings. And this car, I've been very lucky. I have not got a single door ding in this car. As a matter of fact, when my lease was almost up and I was getting to the point of selling the car, I started to get a little nervous because I was like, God, I hope I don't get, you know, bumped rear-ended or a door ding in a parking lot, taken away from the pristineness of the car, because being my second or third car, the mileage is really low. I only put 15,000 miles on it in 3 years, and I also never picked up any door dings. So one thing I got was a few rock chips in the hood. The new car, we're gonna get claybar on it right away. All right, so now that I'm done with the whole car, I'm gonna go ahead and hit the bottom sides of the car with this last little bit of clay. This piece of clay has served me really well, so I don't care if I get it contaminated, because I'm just gonna throw it away when I'm done. So normally I wouldn't be cleaning these areas as thoroughly, but I'm gonna get in here and then also do the bottom side of this, and it's just covered in grit and stuff. And I'm sure some of that's also road pitting, but I'm gonna get in there and get all that off, and then when I'm applying the ceramic coat, I'm gonna be very, very sure that I get this area re-protected, because it takes a beating for sure. And then I get this front part inside the wheel area. These usually clean up pretty good. And again, this piece of clay that I'm using, at this point it's really contaminated, and I'm not going to put this anywhere back on the car on the top side. When I'm done, I'm just going to throw it away. Just getting some more lubricant. The bottom of the car has already got quite a bit of soap just sitting there from rinsing the car off, sitting at the bottom of the jams here. So there's quite a bit of soap already underneath the car. And that feels 100 times better underneath there. Just about done. So spent a little more time claybarring it than I thought I would spend. I probably spent about a half an hour into it, with a lot of focus on the hatch and just the underside of the car where it really actually just needed it the most. I'm not going to claybar my side glass, but I am going to do the back window, because being a hatch, any contaminants I actually have right now are actually on the hatch in the rear window. You know, the blade's going to pick up some, but it's a pretty small area. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the rear window. It's funny, I was talking to a customer the other day about Rain-X. I had discovered my bottle of Rain-X that I actually think I bought in like 1995, and I was talking to a customer about it. I was like, man, that stuff really works good, because I had applied it when I washed the cars last week. he said I think I got the same bottle. It's like, it's the type of thing where you buy the 7-ounce bottle and probably last you the rest of your life unless you're doing it professionally. But that stuff really works good. So when I'm all done, in addition to the ceramic coating, I am going to apply Rain-X to my glass. And you can also use the ceramic coating on the glass as well, but Rain-X is definitely a more specific product for the use, and it's a little more durable in that application. So I am going to apply Rain-X. And just, you know, Rain-X and ceramic coating, or even wax, is what they're primarily doing, is the protection that they're offering is also a barrier. And with ceramic coating and Rain-X, if it's raining hard, you know that it's dirty as well, and those coatings that you're applying are going to help keep the dirt from bonding to the car, and you're going to be able to go longer between your wash intervals. You're going to pick up less muck on your car, and in addition to looking great with a coat of wax or a ceramic coat, that barrier that it offers is actually helping the car not get as dirty over the course between the wash cycles. Okay, so claybar is done. I'm going to give the car one final rinse, since I was using car wash rinse. So I still got some soap on the car, and then I'm going to give it a quick dry, and then I'm going to talk about what we haven't talked about yet, which is cleaning the door jambs, second to last thing, and then the wheels, the very last thing. And I'm going to use the same bucket of wash kit for all that stuff, which is why I'm doing that stuff last, to reduce the risk of contaminants higher up in the tank. So this right here is just a quick final rinse. I've already rinsed it a couple times, just getting off any residual soap that I got on the car with the claybar in between the tapes and the film. Of course, anytime you're washing a car like this, you want to dry it. We have good water here. It doesn't have a lot of minerals, but it still needs to be dried off. And there's a few different things you can use. One, you can try and drive really fast and just air dry it. Good luck with that. You can use a chamois. Chamois are kind of known for stripping the wax off the paint. So if you're concerned about not stripping the wax off your paint, don't use a chamois. You can use microfiber towels. They work pretty good. They get soaking wet super fast, so you want to have a handful of them. I am a big fan of water blades. I've never scratched my car with a water blade, just by making sure that when I wash it, I get the surface clean. When I rinse it, I've got the surface clean. I'm touching the car as I'm going. I know if I've got contaminants. If I don't get contaminants on there, this thing is going to dry the car fast and scratch free. So this is what I like to use. And just like washing, I'm going to start from this top and work to the bottom. Gravity always wins, so get the top stuff done first. It's going to get me the fastest completion time. I was doing it with my hand right there. I'm just checking to make sure I'm not picking anything up and it still feels great. So as I get lower, I want to be careful with that. Because again, that would be where the contaminants would be the low side. At this point, I've been over the paint 10 times with the claybar and the wash mitt, so I kind of know that the surface is clean. I'm still checking it here and there just to be extra safe. Great. All right, so last thing I'm gonna do before I pull the car in is I'm gonna refresh my water a little bit. This is my wheel wash mitt / door jam mitt. Depending on how dirty either is, I may use my regular car wash mitt in my door jams, or I might use the wheel wash mitt. They tend to get a little dirtier, and I don't want that. I try and keep my primary wash mitt in exceptional shape so I don't get wash mitt scratches. So I'm gonna freshen the water up a little bit, re-rinse this mitt out from the last time I used it. And then before I dump the mitt in here, I'm gonna give any dirt that I'm stirring up under the grit guard a minute to soak. And then I'll just take that second to, and that was I'm just not even in the water, I'm just in the soap right now. Take a second to talk about this. So door jams get forgot about a lot, but they are usually a painted surface, and you should be rinsing them out as well. And I even recommend waxing your door jams. It takes better care of the paint. The paint gets the hell kicked out of it when you're getting it out of the car, and it just gives it a more complete appearance for a detail. So what I do is I open both my doors. Let's start in the back, and you can see we just got a little bit of dirt in there. You can also see that there's some soap in there, so it's kind of halfway helping it. And then I'm just going to take my mitt, and this just has straight soap on it, and just get this nice and soapy. Try not to get too much in the car. You're gonna get a little in the car, and that's not a tragedy. Also do the backs of the bottom of the door. Get a little bit more of the soap on my bit. Come up front to the front door, which has more. I'm gonna start all the way back here. Get my hand in there, and like I said, this is a really dirty surface, so you certainly don't want to do this first or do this with your best wash mitt, because you're picking up a lot of stuff. You don't want to scratch your paint with this. So I'm gonna get this good and prepped like that. Get in between the doors. I'm gonna do the bottom of the lower part of the door as well. And then what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna close the door, and I'm gonna rinse the surfaces out this way, and anything that I didn't get with the wash mitt, I'll just take a slightly damp microfiber. And again, you're like, oh, I just dried the car. It's like, it's okay. It's just a second to dry. So just line up the seams, and that's going to get all that soap getting loose, and especially down here on the bottom. You can see the dirt blowing out there. Roll that back off. And I'll open up the doors, and I'll grab a a microfiber towel to get the rest of that out. And so typically I just buy my microfibers at Costco. It's I don't even know how many's in this bag, and it's 15 bucks. They're a great deal. So just gonna run this down as always, top to bottom. Just giving that a quick dry. If I got any water on my seat or anything, I try and pick that up. Go around the door frame real nice. The outside of the car that I just got wet, you know, lightly wet. But right now I'm just focusing on getting my jams dry for this video, and then I'm gonna go back over and fine tune it here in a minute. Otherwise, the YouTube critics won't have anything to criticize if I don't do that. Nice and clean. All right, and for getting the car into the garage at this point, that is good enough. I definitely need to go back over and re-water blade this side of the car, which I'm going to do really quick. And then I'm going to jump down to the wheels and pull it in. So the very last thing you do when you're washing a car, the way I like to do anyways, is I'm going to wash my wheels. For my wheels, I'm still using my my car wash soap. It's good and dirty at this point, but I've got my grit guard in there. And I've got a special mitt, the one that I was just using for the door jams today. It would always be this mitt for the wheels. I might use a different one on the door jams depending on how dirty they are. Now, if you manage to get through all that and your car is still hot, it's not a good idea to wash a hot brake. You can cause issues with the metal. You might get some warpage. You might make the brake squeak. But this car was stone cold when I started washing it, so we don't have to worry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the wheel good and wet. Again, I'm gonna get the car a little wet, but I don't care about that because I didn't want any standing water on the car and risk getting any kind of light water spots. So I went ahead and dried it, and I'll re-dry the areas that I'm getting wet right now. It's no big deal. Good tip, if your brakes have light squeaking, but it's not bad pads, get your car wash hose in there and rinse out the brake caliper. And this is, this is a brake caliper. And just rinsing some of the extra dirt out. And that'll eliminate a lot of light contact brake squeaking, just keeping that clean. Because that's a lot of the noises that you hear on a car when you're making light contact on the brake pedal. It's just the dirt and stuff between the brake pads, which is inside the caliper, and the rotor surface. So you get that fine dirt in there, and it will make light harmonics. So rinsing it out, cleaning up the caliper, is a great way to help avoid that. Again, my wheel surface getting wet here, and I'm a tire washer. I wash my tires. Like, why the hell do you do that? Well, tires get dirt stuck to your tire dressings. They discolor a little bit. They get brake dust on them and turn sort of brown. I don't use Armor All, they turn really brown. So I start by rinsing my tire. Just lots of soap in here and just going around my surface. At the same time, with this mitt, this is what I use to get the inside of like my wheel wells, my inside of my fender that I wouldn't normally want to get my good mitt in there. I get my wash mitt in there for my wheels, and it's okay if that's getting some cross contamination in there because you can't see that area, but if I can help keep it clean, I will. With a lot of soap, I'm then going to work into my spokes and kind of give it an overall getting it soaped up treatment. And then I'm just going to lay into each spoke and I'm using the tip of my finger to get those tight areas. And some wheels are easier than others, and some wheels are harder than others. And if it's summertime, I actually get my arm way back in here and I'll actually wash my wheel barrels. But this time of year, I'm not too concerned about the wheel barrels because they're going to get dirty pretty quick. So in the summertime, it stays cleaner longer and the barrels look nice. If you got the wheels off the car for the winter, or you're running a winter or summer wheel set, it's a great idea to wash those up when you put them away, and even put a coat of wax on the inside of the barrels if they are a painted surface. A little tip there helps cleaning them up that much easier. Another thing I like to do when I'm in this area is I will get my hand in there if I can and wash the caliper off as well with my car wash soap. It's a nice mild treatment for the caliper without using a really harsh wheel cleaner. Wipe that surface down, it still looks really nice because the car is only a couple years old. We do offer caliper refinishing, different levels of that service. We can re-clear coat them, which brings the life back into a already painted caliper. We can paint your calipers, pretty much any color you want. There's certainly some colors that are more popular. So getting all this surface here and going over everything a couple times just to make sure I'm getting it good and clean. Lots of soap, and then I am going to go ahead and get my arm in there. With this big brake, it's tough, but I got skinny arms, so I'm cleaning that wheel barrel up for the new owner. I know he'll appreciate that. Get that surface nice and clean for him. He's getting the car tomorrow, so once I clean it up, it's going to go in the garage for the night. I'm going to drive it to the shop tomorrow, and then that'll be it. So this will all be nice and clean. It's not supposed to rain for a couple days anyways, so get that cleaned up, and then put my hand inside the spokes, wipe that down. All right, I don't think I've missed anything, but if I did, when I rinsed off, I'll see it and I'll touch it up. So bottom part of that tire again. All right, now since I've already dried the car, and almost always, unless it's just cold and rainy, I've already dried my car before I wash my wheels, just so I don't have that water sitting on the car and risk water spots. So I'm really precise with the hose. I'm going to get some water around here, it's unavoidable, but I shouldn't blow any up on the hood or anything. And then I'll give me my my drying area. It'll just be something I'm going to do with the microfiber. Nice precise pattern. Minimize my rewash area, or not rewash, my redry area, where I don't have to redry in half the car. And I've done it this way for years and years. Wash the car, dry the car, wash the wheels, done. When I'm all done, I'm going to rinse my bucket out here and rinse the wheel wash mitt off as well. Rinse in the bucket, just basic. Dump it out. I'm going to retrieve that grate guard that I was working with and rinse that off a little bit. And again, holy cow, chemical guys, nobody has fingers this small. I mean, there's no way I can pick this up, and I don't have big hands. These things should have been blown all the way through, or like I said, I'm gonna do a hook to pull this out, because man, it's impossible to retrieve this out of the bucket, especially with a couple gallons of water on it. The rest of the bucket, I'm just gonna rinse it out, take my hand, knock any bigger pieces that are stuck in there out. Feels pretty good. Obviously there's some staining in the bucket, don't worry about that. Final rinse. Stick that in there upright. And my wheel wash mitt, just give it a quick rinse off. And again, if this thing hits the ground, it needs a thorough cleaning. If not, just throw it away and start over. So rinse that out real good. Soap off of it and wring it out. And then just hang it from the side of the bucket to dry. And I don't put as much time into drying this mitt as I do, or cleaning this mitt as I do the car wash mitt, because it's there for the wheels. There we go. That's ready to put away for next time. Get the soap off my hands. I'm going to pull the car in and dry off anything that needs to be dried off, and start putting the ceramic coat on. All right, so one final note. Even though I'm right here in my driveway washing the Gulf R, as I said, I used the direction of the wind and my way that I was washing the car to spray toward the wind and also away from the car that was right next to it. And as you can see, I got no soap on this. I got a couple water drops. Not a big deal, it's dirty anyways. So work with your environment. I used the wind. I washed in the direction away from the car. They both just happened to be going the same way today. Otherwise, I probably would have took some additional steps to maneuver the vehicles to avoid getting this one wet. But I was able to do that within a 10-foot span, and that car's completely fine.